Welcome to week 12. I'm having massive technical difficulties today, but hopefully these work out okay. All right, so this week you're reading chapter 27. That's the affluent society. So after World War II, in the 1950s especially, we see a boom, an economic boom, a baby boom, as moving to the suburbs boom. We see all these booms. But what we find is they were really racially segregated. Not everyone from every walk of life was experiencing these booms. And so we see the civil rights movement. So chapter 27 discusses the civil rights movement, but I am going to have you do a little bit extra. So jump in and hang on. So you're going to read chapter 27. I still want you to answer those recall and reflect questions. There are 4 of them. I want 3 complete sentences for each answer. That just shows me, hey, you really understand what's happening, you grasped it. But those recall and reflect questions do not focus on the civil rights movement. They focus on other important aspects of the chapter for sure. But I really want you to understand the Supreme Court's role in exacerbating segregation for a while. So I want you, in the assignment, I have linked the Constitution. I want you to just go through it. How many articles are in the Constitution? Which article gives power to the judiciary? How many amendments total have been added to the Constitution? Then, within those total amendments, there are 3 that are known as the Civil Rights, no, the Civil War Amendments, Civil War Amendments or Reconstruction Amendments. There are 3 of them. I want to know which 3 they are. I want you to tell me which year they were added to the Constitution. So that's the year they were ratified. And then I want you to briefly state their purpose. For example, the 13th Amendment is one of those. It abolished slavery nationwide. Why did we need it? We had the Emancipation Proclamation, but the Emancipation Proclamation only abolished slavery in the rebel states. The 13th Amendment was necessary to abolish it nationwide. So that's one of the Civil War amendments. Then I've linked an article about an 1896 case. What you'll find is those Civil War amendments were passed and ratified, added to the Constitution before 1896. In 1896, Homer Plessy boarded a Louisiana rail car and sat in the whites only section. This went all the way to the Supreme Court because Mr. Plessy was of mixed race. And so he was arrested for this act. And this went all the way to the Supreme Court, where the stupid Supreme Court in 1896 said they created the separate but equal doctrine. And there's one brave justice. I just got a book about him titled The Great Dissenter, John Marshall Harlan. He dissented and he said that separate was not equal. He said our Constitution should be colorblind. So you're going to look at all of that. And then a case that's mentioned in chapter 27, Brown versus Board of Education. That's where we have racial integration back into schools and public accommodations. We get rid of this separate but equal garbage. The biggest point value is given to the last question on this assignment, this extra part of the assignment. The enduring rule of Brown versus Board of Education. There's a specific word, one word. Separate educational facilities are inherently, tell me the one word. If you tell me more than one word or you get the wrong word, you're not going to get those 10 points. So this is such an important time in our history, and I want you to understand the Supreme Court really is the face of the third branch of government, the judiciary. The executive branch, the president, names our Supreme Court justices. Then they are confirmed by the Senate, much like Trump did with his cabinet. It's a similar process. But what I want you to understand is in 1896, we had a bunch of jerks on the Supreme Court. In 1954 and 55, 52, when we have Brown versus Board of Education coming through, finally, the Supreme Court is getting it right. Everything matters. And that's why I want you to be watching the news. I want you to be paying attention to current events. I want you to vote. And I want you to make informed votes, because these people we elect have power and lasting impact. And whoever put John Marshall Harlan on the Supreme Court so he could be there in 1896 was a genius, because he was awesome. He's the dissenting judge in Plessy versus Ferguson. He's a hero. He was willing to stand alone. And that dissent gave the court later basis for Brown versus Board of Education to be decided correctly. All right. Have a great week and reach out with questions.